Hi, this is Caroline Grogan, and this is my presentation on my research. Does more institutional support of PD translate into teachers participating in more professional development? As education is going through a reform, it has become more important for teachers to participate in large amounts of time of professional development. So in this study, I looked at the questions: does providing supports for PD increase the amount of time teachers are participating in PD? And does one type of PD support or a combination of supports encourage teachers to spend more time participating in PD? The theoretical framework for this study is grounded in the statement by the No Child Left Behind Act that for PD to be considered high quality, it must be sustained over long periods of time. The research shows that the amount of time spent participating in PD is one of the most important factors in determining whether a teacher will actually receive benefits from the PD and if those benefits will actually translate into positive improvements in student achievement. A study by Yoon et al. In 2007 actually found that teachers who were participating in more than 14 hours of PD increased their students' achievement. Participating in high-quality PD can actually be a strain on teachers because it does require a large time commitment from the teachers. To encourage teachers to participate in the amount of PD they need to improve their teaching skills and their content knowledge, the literature suggests that educational institutions provide certain supports to teachers that include an administration that is supportive and positive about PD, providing time during working hours so that teachers do not have to spend their personal time doing PD activities, providing opportunities for informal PD at the school, and also provide resources such as funding for teachers to attend off-site and outside of work hours PD. For this study, the Teaching and Learning International Survey, or TALIS, 2013 dataset was used. This survey includes teachers and principals from more than 30 countries. It is a cross-sectional sample that asks questions about things that occurred in the last 12 months. It includes a wide variety of information, but most importantly for this study, it includes information about participation and supports received for professional development. This data set includes 14,583 teachers, almost 80% of who were female, and 82% of them worked full-time. The independent variable for this study was the total days of PD participation. This variable was grouped based on the types of PD support, which included time during working hours for PD activities, salary for PD outside of working hours, non-monetary support for PD outside of working hours, and a combination of these three supports, including time during working hours and salary for outside of working hours PD, time during working hours and non-monetary support for PD outside of working hours, and salary and non-monetary supports for PD outside of working hours, and all three supports provided. For the variables that the study looked at, the TALIS data was actually missing a lot of data. Cases that did not report both days of PD participation and type of PD support received were excluded from the sample that was analyzed, and this left us with just a sample of 73 cases. Upon exploration of the data, it was found that 3 of our groupings had sample sizes too small to be included in the analysis. Therefore, non-monetary support of PD outside of working hours was removed. Time during working hours for PD and salary for PD outside of working hours was removed. And salary and non-monetary support for PD outside of working hours was removed. Tests for homogeneity showed that the remaining data violated the assumption of homogeneity due to outliers in some of the groups. Therefore, these outliers were removed, which corrected the homogeneity problem. The data was then analyzed using ANOVA to look for differences between the means and groups. When you look at the means for the groups, you can see that teachers who received all 3 PD supports participated in almost double the number of days of PD than those who received no supports. However, those who received no supports had an average of PD days similar to those who received any other combination of supports. Therefore, my analysis of the data using ANOVA showed that there was no significant influence of PD supports on the days of PDs that teachers participated in. The non-significant results of the study should be viewed with caution because the study had a number of limitations, which included the very small sample size because the TALIS data set had very few responses for the days of PD participation. Some other issues included variation in the group sample sizes and high standard deviation in some groups, especially those that had smaller sample sizes. Another problem was that the TALIS data actually did not ask for total number of days that teachers participated in all types of professional development and only asked for specific types. From this study, it is clear that teachers are participating in a wide variety of PD and that they are receiving supports for participation in PD. However, how much time teachers are spending on participating in PD and if it is influenced by the type of PD support they've received is still unclear. And this concludes my presentation.